Good afternoon. I want to welcome these leaders for coming in to have this very important discussion about some of the most pressing issues of our time. I am Kamala Harris. My pronouns are she and her. I am a woman sitting at the table wearing a blue suit. And
welcome to The Benny Show. My name is Benny Johnson. I am a straight white male sitting before you inside of a TV studio with a black shirt on. My pronouns are your and majesty and bush and light. And that is what I demand that you call me. What a utter and complete humiliation Kamala Harris is to all of us. Can it get worse? The answer is actually, yes, it can always get worse. Kamala Harris did this at the White House last week. You undoubtedly saw the clip, but I think it's important to sort of dig into why this clip exists, and that's what we're going to be doing on this special episode of The Benny Show, where we do a deep dive into Kamala Harris's large and extraordinary humiliations to not just herself, which, by the way, her ability to debase herself is the exact reason why she has power in politics, but to all of us, because she does hold this historic position inside of our country. She is someone of note, a vice president. Her name will go down in the Smithsonian's and in the annals of U.S. history. So we should all take it upon ourselves, the shame and humiliation. We're going to cover exactly why she's doing what she's doing on today's show. The answer is it can always get worse, including at this exact event. It can get worse. Watch what happens next.
And the act of the United States Supreme Court to take away a constitutional right that had been recognized from the people of America will impact a lot of people and differently in some situations. And we need to be responsive to these issues and also lift up the voices of all people who will be impacted in the way that they will be impacted. So that's why we are convened today. And I will add a couple of points in terms of the direct impact that we anticipate there will be from the Dobbs decision.
Impact. The impact of that clip. You're watching the impact in real life that is so impactful that I've been myself impacted, and I just have so much in to pack. And I'm going on a trip, and if I were to pack inside, I would be impact. It would be so important for you to give me pack money from my impact. Kamala Harris is a humiliation. Why does she do this kind of stuff? What's going on with her? What's happening in the wiring upstairs? We do a lot of talk about Joe Biden's wiring upstairs. We don't really talk about Kamala. So what's going on here? She's using her pronouns. She's saying she has a blue suit on. She's a woman. That's amazing. Matt Walsh's beard is getting angry right now listening to Kamala Harris say, I am a woman. Why is she talking like that? And why is she using those words again and again? I mean, does she know how to speak English? The answer is no. Is it better than Joe Biden's use of the English language? No. It's somehow worse and on the same level. And so let us decipher for you very quickly why Kamala Harris is doing this. She's a desperate, desperate person. And desperate people do absolutely crazy things. Kamala Harris is a desperate person because no one likes Kamala Harris. She has only ever absolutely lain prostrate to get where she wants to go in life. She's never had what Freud would call like your id, like a moment where you define who you are, where you challenge the person that you want to be, and where you sort of have a self-identity. She doesn't know who she is. She's always been told who she is. It makes for a sad, depressing, empty vessel of a person. And Kamala Harris is indeed an empty vessel. It's so sad and so utterly debasing. Her own position here in vice president is a debasing position because she's serving a man who she openly called an old, decrepit, syphilitic, diseased racist in the Democratic debate stages nigh on 2 years ago. Kamala Harris went hard in the paint on Joe Biden, as hard as you can go. Check it out.
In this campaign, we've also heard, and I'm going to now direct this at Vice President Biden, I do not believe you are a racist. And I agree with you when you commit yourself to the importance of finding common ground. But I also believe, and it's personal, and I was actually it was hurtful to hear you talk about the reputations of two United States senators who built their reputations and career on the segregation of race in this country. And it was not only that, but you also worked with them to oppose busing.
Wow. Did you hear that? Joe Biden didn't want Kamala Harris to go to school. Joe Biden personally stood in the middle of the road with his hands up with the school bus, little Kamala on it. Little Kamala was school-age girl. She's like 7 years old. And Joe Biden was 70 years old at that time. And Joe Biden puts his hands up and he goes, "Stop! No kids that look like you in the schools." Kamala Harris, of course, didn't win that argument. Joe Biden ended up getting the most votes at the Democratic National Convention to become the party's nominee for president. How many votes did Kamala Harris get? Whoop. 0. She got 0 votes, not even from her home state of California. Kamala Harris's actual home state is Canada, where she was raised, but nonetheless, her home state of California, Kamala Harris, got 0 votes to be the party's nominee for president. And that's pretty humiliating for somebody who ran for president and somebody who went, again, hard in the paint on Joe Biden. So I guess the best thing to do is to join that team of avowed racists and segregationists and to serve as their vice president. And Joe Biden is the most popular president in history, we've been told. And so this must be an easy layup for Kamala Harris. Watch. You know, and it's not just the painful inner city students in that video who are cringing at Kamala. The entire nation cringes at Kamala in unison. Kamala has no friends. Nobody likes her. Nobody thinks she's doing a good job. Kamala Harris's polling is less popular than Joe Biden. That's damn near impossible. That's like being less popular than ass cancer or the captain of the Titanic at the bottom of the ocean with the blue diamond that was thrown down there. Oh, Jack, frozen on a door, ladies and gentlemen, down there with Leo and the diamonds and the members of the band who went down with the ship. This is where Kamala Harris's polling is right now. Kamala Harris's polling is below Joe Biden's. How is that even possible? A recent poll asked, hey, who do you want to run for president in 2024? You know, Joe Biden didn't top that poll, but Kamala Harris didn't even get into the top 5. She's the current vice president. Humiliation after humiliation. A recent poll conducted by the Los Angeles Times found that just 38% of Californians, remember Kamala Harris's home state other than Canada, wanted Kamala Harris to stay in office and approved of her job performance as vice president. So how do you message your way out of those numbers? What do you do? What's like the PR move here? No, there is none. You don't get out of these numbers. You're doomed. That's the reality for Kamala Harris. She's utterly doomed. And that's why people are leaving her in droves. Her staff members are fleeing. Now, anyone who's worked in Washington, I've worked in Washington for 15 years, will tell you there's like old bulls inside of these major staff offices. The old bulls are the people who've been with the principal forever, right? They know how to write the speech. They know how to send the tweet. They know how to write the bill. They're going to know what a Chuck Grassley wants, right? Chuck Grassley's been around for a long time. He was my senator when I lived in Iowa. That's where I was raised, where I went to school, and Chuck Grassley is the man. He's had these staff members with him for a very long time. Kamala Harris has none of that allegiance. That's so important to have. She's losing staff members like crazy. I mean, you should be worried right now about the number of people that Kamala Harris has lost, including last week, Megan Groob. What did Megan Groob do for our illustrious vice president? Well, she was her speechwriter. She lasted a grand total of 4 months. 4 months in Kamala Harris's office. Now, I'm going to play a clip and see if you can spot Megan Groob, who undoubtedly is just a really highly intelligent person. Let's see if you can spot her speech writing style that Kamala Harris perfected.
You know, when we talk about our children, I know for this group, we all believe that when we talk about the children of the community, they are the children of the community. Together, we are expanding access to transportation. Seems like maybe it's a small issue, it's a big issue. You need to get to go and need to be able to get where you need to go to do the work and get home. That is especially true when it comes to the climate crisis, which is why we will work together and continue to work together to address these issues, to tackle these challenges, and to work together as we continue to work operating from the new norms, rules, and agreements that we will convene to work together on to galvanize global action. With that, I thank you all. This is a matter of urgent priority for all of us, and I know we will work on this together.
That rhetorical flourish of Megan Groob must be called repetition until you die, until you want to gouge your own eyeballs out. Repetition, repetition, repetition. Why does Kamala Harris do this? Now, I think it's because her handlers, if she has any left, are telling her that her cackle is really putting people off. So Kamala cackles when she's nervous. We think that what she's doing now is she's practicing just saying the same thing over and over again in order to quell that nervousness. It all stems from deep and abiding insecurity, ladies and gentlemen, and we all know where all of that comes from. Kamala Harris has insecurity because her staff, again, is fleeing. Megan Groob left this last week, her speechwriter, and in her resignation letter, Megan Groob said this. I have it before me right here. Let's read. I resign because I have resigned. In resigning, I have therefore resigned. When resigning, we must once more ask ourselves, as a country, to resign. The answer is indeed yes, and therefore we resign. So beautiful. Words should be inscribed on a little plaque they leave on the moon for the aliens to read it and then turn the hell around and say, what is wrong with these people? It's not just Kamala Harris's speechwriter. The vice president's domestic policy advisor, Rohini Kaskul, one of her closest and longest-serving staff members, left her office this week. Kaskul's exit is significant because she's one of the few aides who personally knew Kamala Harris and how to manage her. Again, this is calamity for politicians and their offices. More than 13 high-profile aides have left Kamala Harris's office in more than a year. This year. So in this year, she's had 13 members leave. That's more people than go to a Joe Biden rally. We have the proof. You can see here Joe Biden's little rally and his little circles on the ground. There are indeed less people there than have left Kamala Harris's office. Pretty impressive for Kamala, quite frankly. People probably wish they could put Kamala Harris in one of those circles and never have her leave again because she's just an utter and abject humiliation. Democrats are wondering, according to The Hill, if there's anyone in this country that actually supports Kamala Harris. And I quote, according to thehill.com, Democrats are voicing private concerns. They say they're worried that diehard Kamala Harris loyalists, the kind of advisors and strategists who stick to their principle through ups and downs, are virtually non-existent. You hearing that from The Hill? Diehard Kamala loyalists are non-existent. It's always been a problem, said one former Harris aide. You have to have your people around you. Kamala has no people. If you go to Kamala Harris's office, knock on the door, you're going to hear the whistling of the wind over the desert. You're going to open up that door, you're going to see a tumbleweed, maybe a cobweb, and there'll be a little old emaciated spider in there. It's going to be like, abandon all hope, ye who enter here. Kamala Harris. Kamala Hyena, man. She is cackling her way into the worst vice presidency in history. And again, it is so historic, Kamala Harris. Historic in all the wrong ways. Kamala Harris has worse approval numbers than Joe Biden. and it's probably time to panic. The time to panic and the time to probably coalesce around the people who are supposed to be your guaranteed supporters, right? So Kamala Harris, a historic person, not just because of her low approval numbers, but because she's the first black female vice president. So you got to have something there. And you'd think that black Americans would support Kamala Harris. Well, a couple issues here. Number one, polling shows no, actually, black Americans do not support Kamala Harris. Maybe because she can't hit a layup or shoot a basketball from like 1 foot away on a basketball court. You heard the groaning earlier in the show. But also, some of the largest tastemakers in America are clowning on Kamala, giving her quite a hard time. There's a guy named Charlemagne the God. Maybe you know him, maybe you don't. But let me tell you, this dude is the most listened to black political commentator in this country. He is an avowed radical leftist, but he has a massive audience, and he has his own show. He had Kamala Harris on that show. He asked Kamala Harris who the real president is. You might remember, this is also the same dude who Joe Biden said, "You ain't black" to, right? The famous "You ain't black" clip. Joe Biden said this to Charlemagne the God.
Well, thanks so much. That's really our time. I apologize.
You can't do that to black media.
I can't do that to white media and black media because my wife has to go on at 6 o'clock.
Okay.
Oh, I'm in trouble.
Listen, you got to come see us when you come to New York, VP Biden.
I will.
It's a long way until November. We got more questions.
You got more questions, but I tell you, if you have a problem figuring out whether you're for me or Trump, then you ain't black.
It don't have nothing to do with Trump. It has to do with the fact I want something for my community.
So that same Charlemagne the God is being asked about Kamala Harris. He was on The View, and the ladies of The View asked him a pretty cutting question. Go ahead and check it out.
When I heard that you asked Vice President Harris, who's the real president here, Biden or Manchin? Did you ask her that question? What did she say?
Nothing. she didn't really give an answer. But I mean, as you can see, it still seems like President Manchin is currently running this country. And I think that was, in hindsight, when you look, people thought I was being harsh by asking that question. But now it's like, well, damn, who is running this country? Is it President Biden or President Manchin? He has a lot of
power for one person.
Absolutely.
I know, but...
Ouch. I mean, legitimately, ouch. It is so painful to watch this clip. Actually, let's pull it and toss it up. This is Charlemagne the God asking Kamala Harris who the real president is. Reminder, this guy is the most listened to black political commentator in America, hands down. Here's him asking who the real president is. Reminder, Joe Biden said, "You ain't black" to him, to his great humiliation and shame. And so Charlemagne the God saying, who's the real president, Joe?
Is it Joe Manchin or Joe Biden, Madam Vice President?
Come on, Charlemagne.
Come
on. It's Joe Biden.
I can't tell sometimes.
No. It's Joe Biden. It's Joe Biden. And don't start talking like a Republican about asking whether or not he's president. It's Joe Biden.
Do you think Joe Manchin is a problem?
It's Joe Biden. And I'm vice president, and my name is Kamala Harris. And the reality is, because we are in office, we do the things like the child tax credit, which is going to reduce black child poverty by 50%, on track to do that.
The voice you heard off camera there was Simone Sanders, another member of Kamala Harris's office, who has fled in terror back to MSNBC, where she belongs. Again, like the seats don't even like get cold. They move so quickly from MSNBC into the administration and then out of the administration. It's an absolute disgrace. But Simone Sanders now has her own weird show on MSNBC. The colors of the show are green. They're super creepy. Simone Sanders there saying, "Shut up," blah, blah, like yelling at Kamala Harris. The whole thing is such a dumpster fire. It's such a disaster. Kamala Harris has no friends. She has no staff. Maybe it's time to look inward at her own family, okay? It's time to look at her family members. That is where Kamala Harris could find comfort and serenity. But here's the thing. Her and her husband have a bit of a weird relationship. Number one, they don't have any kids together, and I can prove to you why they don't have any kids together in this clip. Yo, that was Kamala Harris kissing her husband with a mask on. And that's not the only time she's done it. Multiple times, Kamala Harris has kissed her husband wearing masks, both of them. Gonna be kind of hard to have a kid or to get monkeypox or to really have any type of romance at all when there's a disgusting piece of Fauci paper between you and your loved one. Kamala Harris, no. She has never had children herself. She's never been a mother. She's never been selfless enough to be a mother. Kamala Harris has only ever bent the knee for power gobbling, and now here's what you get. You get Kamala Harris in this office. She's disloyal. She is just a creature of absorbing and gobbling further power unto herself. It makes her unlikable. It makes her sad. And it makes her vengeful against people who actually chose selfless acts in life, like mothers. I got to tell you, I got 2 kids. My wife is the most selfless person on this planet. That I know. Because I watch what she does every single day to raise these kids. Yo, she is extremely self. There's nothing more powerful in this country or in this world than a mother raising her children and choosing to do that every single day. If you're a mother watching this, we say thank you. God bless you. We appreciate you. But Kamala Harris doesn't. Kamala Harris, in fact, thinks that pregnant women are the problem? What the hell? Listen to this.
To put it in law, there may be litigation, but we will be in a much better position than to not do that. And, listen, women are getting pregnant every day in America. And this is a real issue, and we need to act with a sense of haste about what is at play, what is at stake, and codifying Roe will be an important moment in terms of putting back in place protections for the folks who are at risk right now because of what the court did in Dobbs just weeks ago.
Women are getting pregnant every single day, and that's a real issue. That's a quote from the vice president. At least she didn't repeat it 4 or 5 times. Women are getting pregnant every day, and that's a real issue. Spoken by somebody who, as far as we know, never been pregnant. So, how does that make you feel, ladies? How does that make you feel, moms? I'll tell you what, my wife nearly put her fist through a wall. What do you mean by that? You mean like the thing that carries the human race forward, that keeps happening, and that's a bad thing? It's, the thing that brought Jesus to this world, women getting pregnant. What does it mean? It's so hedonistic. It's so cruel, and it's so vile. And I can tell you what it means. I can tell you exactly why she's doing this. She's a desperate, sad, miserable person who is unloved and who is empty inside, because all she's ever done, her entire political career, her entire career on this earth, is make these selfish, calculated, cutting choices to step on, crush, and snap the necks of anybody who stands in her way, to cackle her way into power, and then with all types of people who are just utterly demonic in their nature to just drive forward and always be pushing for the next thing and the more powerful thing and to get the riches of this earth. With all people in that category, man, she is left with sand in her mouth. The Bible says it, man. The Bible says it. You will have sand in your mouth if you live like this. If you build your house upon the sands, man, it'll be washed away. You got to have spiritual value. You got to have real truth. You got to be centered and based on something more than just the ethereal, temporary things of earth. You got to have something. Children do that. Families do that. Spirituality does that. Believing in something does that. And you know what? Kamala Harris seems to believe in only one thing. Kamala Harris. And that's not a great life. It leads to insecurity. It leads to being nervous. It leads to having people cringe when they're around you. And it, quite frankly, leads to you sounding like this when you're asked any tough question.
Poor hubby. Poor hubby.
Nah.
He knows how to sell right there.
What is that? In conclusion here, what that is a person who doesn't know real laughter, a person who doesn't know real joy, a person who's fake laughing like a machine would, like a computer would, because she thinks that's the way she's supposed to interact with regular people. Real laughter, real joy, real belly laughter, man, that is something that gets you laughing, that makes you want to engage with that person and want to share a human bond. That Kamala Harris laughter, that's just the clawing at the soul of somebody who is desperately trying to fit in, and it ain't working. Kamala Harris is disliked by the American people. She's disliked by her own party. She's disliked by her own president. Her own staff are fleeing, and she's disliked by her own family. Her own husband won't even kiss her on the lips, and no cackling in the world will get rid of an empty soul, will fill up an empty soul. No, 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 no. Kamala Harris, our suggestion to you, resign. Go find Jesus and go do something selfless in your life. The rest of us, we're going to carry on. We are the happy people. That means that we win. You're miserable. That means that you lose. I don't care what position you have or what, the name or title says on your business card. Doesn't matter. We are happy. You're miserable. We win. We're happy because we have our priorities straight on this show. God, family, country. We're happy because we're born free men and women, and not even Kamala Harris can change that. And we will change power soon in Washington, D.C., so we thank you for supporting us. We thank you for following this program. We thank you so much. If you like what we did here on this show today, then please click like, click subscribe on our channel. Please consider subscribing to our podcast. That would mean a lot to us. That makes us uncancelable, and it helps us save America. That's what we're all here to do on The Benny Show. My name is Benny Johnson, and this is The Benny Show.